Welcome to Mic Check with Nikita. I'm your host, Nikita Gairam, and today we have Randy Recklez.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, so I wanted to just start really quickly by just letting the audience know a little bit about our friendship, because I know that people have probably seen us work a lot together over the years, but I don't think they really understand how close we actually are. Don't look at me with that face. I can't. Randy's about to yell at me. But yeah, basically, I've known Randy since I was 16. Basically grew up around him. Kind of lost touch when my early 20s, I think. And then post-COVID, you and I really started heavily working together and got really close. I can literally say that Randy's one of my best friends in the industry, if not my only best friend in the industry, probably. Whatever. The only way that I can really describe how close Randy and I actually are is this one example of you getting married. It was your Mati Core night. Out of the 6 girls that rubbed eye on you, I was one of them. I'm waiting for a reaction. But yeah, so Randy and I are actually really, really close friends. You're probably going to see a lot of our banter in this episode. Our banter is very interesting to the point that his wife, likes to give us warnings so that we can actually behave ourselves. Otherwise, we'll get timeouts. It's happened before. Do you want to say something?
Is it my turn to speak?
Go ahead.
Booyah, it's yours truly, Randy Recklez. And guess what? You are checked into Real Reckless. Unfortunately, we call it Mic Check with Nikita, but it's yours truly, Randy Recklez. I am here. It is a privilege. Thank you very much for having me, Nikita. As much as we've known each other on a personal basis over the last couple of years, we actually have become very professional, having been able to travel the world, having done projects both on a local and an international scene. We've worked with various artists, collectively and individually, and we've been able to chance to grow both of our brands to something bigger. And we actually were able to create a global phenomenon together, which I reached out to you because I think I understood your experience. So maybe a little later on we got to speak about it. But at the end of the day, you might have just started Mic Check and Nikita, but I have been reckless since day one.
All right, so then with that cue, we can go into it.
It's back to you. We are back to Mic Check with Nikita.
Where did you get the name Recklez?
Oh, so if anybody knows me, I've started my very, very early days in Mundair. I still am very affiliated with it. I love watching the youth and the young talent who I have to sometimes say are definitely more talented than myself continue to grow. But at a young age, I was in Mundair with my parents, my mamus, for those of you who know, mamus is uncles, and my nanny. And we grew up in a time where culture, discipline, a lot of those things were a lot more sacred than it is considered today. But thank you to all of those that still keep our culture alive. And I was actually singing songs, and then I realized that, hey, I can add a little English to it. And I got a little out of hand with some of the lyrics. However, the pundit enjoyed it. Pundit Bai actually gave me my name, I want to say about 2010. And when he said, he's like, Bai, that sounds real reckless. And the name stuck as Randy Recklez since day one.
So going back a little bit into growing up, what was life like for you in terms of music?
So in terms of music, everyone looks at my parents. For those of you guys that know them, 2 quiet individuals, would never think that they make such a reckless picnic. However, my uncles were very much invested in music. My Vishnu Mamu, which is my mom's oldest brother, and my Kemo Mamu, rest in peace. He is my mom's second brother. They were actually lead singers of bands in Guyana as well as in America when they came to New York. It was so cool that they actually were lead singers of a band that used to play in New York, and Terry Godraj was the guitarist. So can you imagine how far the Guyana Babu has come over the years? So if he was playing guitar before he was singing, I can only imagine, hey, that's amazing. But they were my influences. However, growing up on the Mundair scene or the temple scene, the harmonium was always a great gift. I actually wanted to play dolak when I was younger, the little drum. However, my nanny was like, I'll Lembaya play drum. You have a nice voice, you sing. And I have to say, by listening to her and taking that path, I was able to see a lot more stages on an international, local, and a global scene. And I thank her for that every day and all her blessings.
So because you grew up around music, what was that first, I guess, epiphany that you had that you felt like you can sort of make a career out of this?
So my first experience with music wasn't really, I could make a career out of it because it wasn't really the most heartwarming or it was a heartwarming kind of situation. I was about one and a half. About like I gotta say I was about one and a half. My oldest Mamu Vishnu, he actually didn't have any children. I was the oldest grandchild at the moment, but I was always hanging out with him. I was always with him. He was always taking me for rides. You know, like when you're the first one, like everybody gives you all that love. And a lot of the times when he would sing, he kind of caught on to see like I was always holding a mic. I was always running behind him and his friends. And one day he put me on the spot at a prayers that he had at a jandi. And it was the first time I'm singing in front of any kind of crowd, right? I usually sing amongst individuals, little practice sessions. I used to sing inside of there was a music studio that was owned by a young man by the name of Jay Kewla. It's actually was located, for those of you who live in New York, it's located behind the IHOP on 97th Street, and I believe that's Rockaway or Liberty. It's literally was in that block. All kind of songs came out of there, and I literally was in the studio. And back in the days, they used to record on what was called dots or those reels. And I remember Terry Godrich had recorded the whole "I Dream of a Tun Tun Hey Kesher" book, and I went and I grabbed the whole thing and I ripped the whole thing. And it's not like nowadays where you can Control Z or copy paste and get it back. You have to hold a brand new reel in and thing. Little did I know the same man's song who I destroyed at that moment, I'd be traveling the world with him halfway all around the world.
You're probably the reason why that song is such a hit now. 'Cause he had to re-record.
Why? Because I was a tuntun? Yeah, you would have thought.
He had to re-record, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I've always been around great influence. And so going back to that first experience, I sat in the Jundi and I was given the mic. And I was a little timid about the people in front of me. I don't think I was confident in the song. And in the middle of like the chorus, I started crying. And my uncle in the middle of prayers, he just looks at me and he is like, "You a gal or you a boy?" And of course, as a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, that's not really comforting words if you're already crying. However, in that moment when I finished the song and I was able to kind of take my next experience of singing at a Mondaire and stuff like that, I actually grew into knowing that, hey, I like when what I do makes an effect on other people. And when I started to learn that, then as I grew a little older, I started to learn the harmonium a little, and then I started to do fundraisers with them. I think one of my first major shows that I ever did was when the song "Don't Hold Me Back" came out at ISU 30 with Hitman. Obviously, I didn't know what the stage was like. I didn't know anything. All I saw was this guy literally on stage. I think it was him and it was Chris Garcia. And all I can remember Chris Garcia going, "Chare, bucket of jacket, bucket," like literally going left to right. Literally, he was shirtless. And I'm just like, wow, like I don't think I can sing without my kurta. And I kind of enjoyed that vibe. I was singing a slower song. Actually, my first song ever sang on stage was a song called "Chand Jaise Mukre Ke Bindiya Sitara." And I've loved that song because my uncle said that, "Hey, you have a great voice for this. Let's put you in this song." Little did I know, I want to say 25, 30 plus years later, it was a song I sang to my wife right before she met me under the mandap. So I haven't sung that song that
But
long
you
in a
did.
gap.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
the song says you can compare the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything, but nothing compares to you. And yeah, it's true.
What do you or who do you feel like were your biggest influences? I guess in your whole career, because I know that we talked about your mamus and stuff growing up, but in general.
So on a local scene outside of my mamus, I give credit to I like to call these older individuals now. I still call them young individuals because I feel like they're still vibrant. One of my local inspirations was a young man by the name of Rick Ramdahal. He was also going to Mandir and temples with my uncle, but he was he was my first versatile experience of singing bhajans, but then singing a little chutney, then singing a little soca, then he was singing Tan music, then he started singing American music, and I was like, wow, I didn't think a brown skinned guy can do all of these kind of music, or I didn't think we were capable of reaching out and doing all these kinds of music. Outside of Uncle Rick, I also have Ramde Chaitu, which was kind of like my first kind of, hey, these are songs that are supposed to be on a religious aspect or explaining scenes in the Ramayan and scenes of scriptures. And then I finally got to hear a young man. He was actually the 1996 Chutney Soka Monarch winner, the first one. His name is Sunny Man. And that literally blew my mind when I finally found out I can use his harmonium to sing more than just a bhajan or something religious. I could actually sing it and think, like, for example, when he sang Lote Lal and he actually sang a live version, but then in another track on a LP, these young kids won't know about these things, but that's a big record you put a needle. Kids don't know about that. They go on Spotify nowadays. But when you put it on an LP and you switch it between 33 and 45, literally you could hear the difference in it. On one side was Lote Lal, and the other side was a Trinidad classical song of a Tumri. And I heard that for the very first time, and I was like, wow, there's so many variations that this one instrument can bring to you. And that's why I started to expand. However, over time, I realized that the love or the outreach of traditional music has taken a little spike recently over time. But the legends, there was a gap where it wasn't as strong. And I had to learn to adapt to kind of keep this at a side because this wasn't for everywhere. And I started to actually do stage shows where they were like, they started off as karaoke, but then they started into tracks, then music productions. And here we are today where I want to say, not rubbing my shoulders off wrong, but there's a beautiful song that I learned from since a kid that I got to bring to life alongside Team Music Boss and the Music Boss. It's called Tana. Most of you guys have heard it, where it became not just a New York and Trinidad and Guyana collaboration. It became a global phenomenon that took us literally to many different parts of the world. And I think we're going to touch on those maybe later on in the...
We are.
Yeah.
Actually, there's two things that I want to take back at. One, Uncle Rick. Do you remember when he was called a heartthrob and he had that one song?
Yep.
Sexy Dancing.
He broke a lot of barriers for us.
Yeah, he did.
He has, and like I said, he has a whole generation that's still coming up behind him. Yeah. Like I said, his son took the reins and he's running with it, creating his own style, his own style of music. And I believe that he also was able to learn the actual music business behind it too. So he didn't just say, hey, like my dad's famous, I'll be famous. He actually went out there and made it his own. So shout out to him.
The second thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that you were 1.5 years old singing. The fact that you can even remember that is crazy.
Your first traumatic music experience, you're going to think. Actually, my uncle has a VHS somewhere.
Do you think that's probably why?
Maybe,
you remember
but...
because you've seen it?
I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times. I just don't know if there's a VHS player available for me to watch it over again. So maybe it should stay where it is.
It's really interesting because a lot of talented people have stories like that.
Yes.
That are like meant to actually do things.
I wish more of these stories could come out.
Yeah. Like I personally have a memory of like there's a video of my dad. And I remember, this is my first actually memory that I have of like partly dancing is my dad. I was 3 and my dad's holding a video and he's asking me to model for him. And instead of modeling, I'm dancing over to him. But my mom actually has this story with me where she said that when I was in her womb, she actually remembers me or she knew that I was going to be a dancer because she ended up falling in the tub with me and not hard, but she fell, kind of tripped and she couldn't feel me for a few hours. So she told my dad, let's go to the hospital. She's not kicking. Let's go check what's going on. They sat in the car, they turned on the music, and I just started kicking to the point that I was hurting her. She thought she was in labor, and they had to go to the hospital just to make sure that she was okay. But that was that first time she said she felt mother's intuition kicked in, and she knew right off the bat I was going to be a dancer.
So you've been bothering people even before you came into this world.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Shut up.
Well, since we're talking about stories of where you were little and young,
oh God,
there was the first time I ever saw Nikita, I didn't know who Nikita was. I actually saw her, I think she was 4 years old. I saw her on ITV, and I was a fanboy. I can't lie. I was like, wow, her grace was great. Her movements were great for someone of that age, and she was just spot on. And she was on TV, right? It was nice. It was
it Nimbuda?
Huh?
Was it Nimbuda?
I had to be.
Or Dolade?
I can't remember. But I was like, you see this little girl dancing on stage, and she's on TV. So at that point in time, you're watching someone on TV, you're like, wow, that's a superstar. And as I said, you came a long way. So
cut to 10 years later, we actually meet. Or 12 12
We've actually
years.
what? I think we did a show in Guyana, I believe it was, before we
Yeah,
touched. Yeah.
that's actually my. So out of all the memories that I have of Randy growing up from 16 onwards, there's actually three distinct memories that I have. One is the Guyana show
Yeah.
because I think we spent the most time together as
Correct.
a
Yeah.
collective group. It was you, me, Shailesh was there,
I
my
had
dad was
yeah,
there,
Krisho, Visho. I remember this.
all of
Yes.
them were there. It was for the EasyJet show
Yes, I do remember that.
at Pegasus. I remember that back in the day.
We met a WWE wrestler there. His
Yeah.
name is Ezekiel Jackson. He was actually from Guyana. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
He
I
was on the
never
plane
thought.
with us,
Yes, he
right?
was.
He
And he came
was.
to the show as well.
He did?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember that. But that's one memory. The second memory is I actually know how to dance live music because of Randy and Shailesh. Like if Randy and Shailesh were to just play music, I can actually dance to your beats. And that's how I learned to do it.
That's a kid that needs a whole episode on his own.
Yeah.
But that has been literally my little brother from I want to say from little. We actually knew each other from when we were little. We used to go to the ashram together, my guru, and his dad used to sing together. He grew from there. We met in a barbershop. That's how we actually connected. His barber was like, I got a bad drummer. My barber said, I got a bad singer. And we kind of just vibed out that day. And then one day we kind of had to do a gig together, which we didn't know we were going to do it. And I know we both looked at each other like, I don't really want to play with you. I don't want to play with you. And we kind of like was showing off to each other in a way.
And it worked out?
But since that day, if I tell you that me and Sailesh have practiced more than 5 times in our life over a 25 to maybe about a 25-year span, that's a lot. Our chemistry is unbelievable. Shout out to that kid. Actually, I actually coined him with the name Eighth Wonder of the World years ago. Literally, he is the eighth wonder of the world.
He's so amazing, and you're right. He does need his own episode, but he's just so good, but he's also so humble. Like you just meet Shailesh and you're like, oh, he's just a regular kid off the block.
Back to Real Reckless. I just want to give a shout out to all my friends, all my team members, Shivan Lakan, Vishal Budaram, Devesh Budaram. Yo, Drew. Like I said, okay, back to you, Nikita. Booyah.
Whatever. Anyways, for those of you who aren't understanding, this is our banter. We're always fighting. We're like these it's like cousins, snapping at each other. Whatever. Anyways, so my third, he diverted again, Randy. But my third memory of you is my 18th birthday at the club.
Next question. Next question.
There's a lot of memories from my 18th birthday, but there is that one picture that I still have it's the only picture that I post for your birthday. And it's literally a screenshot of my contact photo for him because I can't find the actual original picture anymore. But we talked about like your first few times on stage, but what do you feel like is your first major break? And it doesn't have to be a stage performance. It could be debut song. I mean, I know you've done a lot over the years, but
So maybe people may think that my first major break was on a West Indian stage or a chutney scene, but my first major break was actually being a sunflower and being a angel for 2 Broadway plays, The Wizard of Oz and A Christmas Carol. Both the events were at the Madison Square Garden. Our elementary school was actually hosting trials or tryouts. I'm not sure how they say it nowadays. Of students that they could be, they could part in. Our school got selected as one PS95, and out of the I think about 16 or 17 of us were in the music class. I think his name was Mr. Goldring. 4 of us. One, it was me. Another one was my cousin. And then it was 2 of her cousins. We actually we got picked. And we had to do about 16 shows for the Christmas Carol one. And I think maybe about 10 shows for the Wizard of Oz. And I think we did that for 2 years. And we got selected. So my first big break, and I honestly was in first grade. Wow. So that was my first break on a bigger stage until I finally, understood that I can go further with the Munder scene.
what do you feel like was that moment that made you say to yourself, okay, I've made it. I'm here to stay. I made my mark in the actual industry, not just childhood-wise. Was it Tana?
No, I think that was like a catalyst, per se, a catalyst to everything that was happening. I think one of my first defining moments had to be. it happened in my teens, but I just can't put a finger on it. But I was able to like kind of expose myself to a different crowd outside of like the fundraisers and the thing through school. And I think school allowed me to kind of like embrace it a little more in front of a diversity of kids and representing our country and representing. And when I say country, it's not America that I'm representing. I represent Guyana, as you can see. I brought her with me. And I wasn't born there. I know most people think I'm born there. My wife thinks I'm born there. But I represent that country because that country built my parents, all my ancestors to the point where I am able to do everything I can because of their sacrifices where they stand today. A lot of people maybe misconsider like I just like the place because the food is nice and the vibes is nice. But when you look at it as a cultural aspect, it's great. Like I go back for Pagua almost every year, not because I want to go back for Pagua. It's because it's now understood that that's a staple that I'm able to contribute to. And I think one of my defining moments was in 2022. One of the Guyana's newspapers, I think it's Guyana Chronicle or Guyana Times, I can't remember what it was. My name was printed on the next day from the Guyana from the parade that the government puts on, and it actually said Randy Recklez Ramden. I was able to get a copy of it, and I took it home to my dad, and I told my dad, I was like, forget the Randy Recklez part.
Ramden's.
The Ramden stands out there, and that's all the struggles that came before that to be highlighted. And I was a proud moment for me, I would say. Not my breakout moment, but I think, as I said, the catalyst of Tana there. But over the years, I've done a lot. We've done a lot. As a collective group, as Naturally Reckless, I think we'll touch base on that. And Reckless Rhythms, which was another group that I had. We've done items and we've done things for Scholastic. We've done for YMCA. We've done multiple shows, traveling shows for National Geographic. We've done 2 trips to the White House. These are not things we get to talk about, right? Because everybody sees you on stage and all they hear is dum da na na na. They don't get to hear that, but we've accomplished a lot. And I'm not gonna lie and say I'll boast myself and say Naturally Reckless was on top for 10 years. But then everybody said they get married, get picnic, they got other priorities. Well, I don't blame anyone. We did it, we got it, and we're raising our kids to understand that our legacy left behind. Just understand your culture and be the best that you can, no matter what walk you take in life. And I say that to all the young ones that are watching as well, and even the older ones who think, "Hey, your time's up."
Okay, so the next question that I'm asking you, and I'm asking you this is because when you came into the studio, your wife and I, your wife who's sitting in the back here, we were both discussing how tired we were. It's been a long week. We've had a long day. And Randy decided to basically just yell at the both of us and say, you didn't do anything compared to I or me. That being said, what does your day-to-day look like, Randy?
Along with being a healthcare professional, music has always been my forefront. I love everything about it. But however, over the years, I have been a musician. I have been a vocalist. I have been a master of ceremonies. I have been a lyricist. And I think one of the things over the years that I've learned to grow and love to be is a humanitarian. I feel like music should not just be heard with our ears. It should be extended to those that may not have the ability to do what we do. Need to be extended to those that have dreams that they can't find the same roads and the same well wishes that I was blessed with. And just anyone that just feels like, hey, I want to make my stamp or I want to make my contribution to culture. I think that's one of the things that I really look forward in music nowadays rather than just making. I know everyone always complains like, buy you not record enough song or you don't got enough song or something like that. But it's not about
We
just
all do, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, but we all do.
It's not always about recording a song because I've always been a live performer. I know we're out here and like I said, not pinpointing not any individual artists or not any individual performing art presenter or contributor, but a lot of the times keyboard warriors, as we call them, right? They tend to break a lot of people's confidence. Mine definitely not. But as you put out music, we had that back in the days where we were very constructive with our colleagues. We were like, hey, you could do this better, or hey, you sounded good, or hey, let's come together. In today's world, it's a little competitive, which is great. Sometimes healthy competition is great. However, the keyboard warriors add to that banter or add to that confidence level where a lot of people don't want to record and stuff. However, if you're putting out a product, make sure it's always genuine. Make sure that you give it your best for it. If you enjoy it, people will enjoy it. And for the ones that don't enjoy it, well, maybe they're just a little sour they can't do it. Or maybe they're just sour because, hey, they wish they had done it first. But for the ones that support all the time, thank you guys. For the ones that how would I say it? Let it all out. That's great as well. Thank you for your opinions. It helps us make better products moving forward. I think that form of originality everyone talks about is great. I think that being able to still cover songs, still be able to use melody, still be able is a great thing as long as you don't build a career off of it. However, I think that some of the greats that are not alive anymore, they created originality and their music still lives on. Ramde Chaitu, Sundar Popo, Babla and Kanchan, Drupati, Sunny Man, all these guys. And then we have living legends as well, right? We have everyone that's in our industry, both on a soca, a chutney, a reggae, a dancehall. It can be any genre that you're listening to, even rap. Most people don't even realize like a lot of my lyrical components don't come from listening to chutney music and soca music. I actually listens to guys like 3-6 Mafia, Wu-Tang Clan, like all those guys, like the Temptations. Like nobody would look at me and think of like, Randy, you don't listen to those people. You listen to those people who, and then Gen Z will just be like, who are they? Right? But if you listen to some of those songs, they're exactly what they are today, a beat, but with lyrics. But now we went from talking about, for example, you're in my world, you're in my life, we're going to have a great time, we're going to light up the party tonight, for example. I just made that up on the side, by the way. And then you have other people saying, the party lit. We said the same thing in 2 words, right?
Yeah.
Literally. So vocabulary was great. So that's why I was always able to get it done well. And of course, you got to thank your parents. You got to thank everyone that's been behind you. I always say, I think it says it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. Everyone was always, your education was always a great word. And on top of that, talking about education was such a big factor in my life that God blessed me with one of the most smartest individuals on the planet. I called her. So thank you for that.
Love you. So there's a bunch of things that you said there, but there's 2 things that stood out to me that I actually want to take it back for a second. It was branding and then covering songs, right?
Okay. Let's do the covering song first.
That's what I was actually going to go with. Oh, we're thinking alike right now. This is why we're friends, guys. Unfortunately. Covering songs. The one thing that you've said is a catalyst that kind of catapulted your career is Tum Tana.
Correct.
Right? I actually like to use Tum Tana as a defining factor in my career as well, because the time that NGP was starting to launch or was about to be launched was around the same time that we actually worked on Tum Tana together. So for Randy especially, it's his baby. For me, it also is one of my babies because it really did a lot for all of us that were involved in the project, right? So what I want to talk to you about is, being that it's 4 years later, it's still a huge phenomenon. It is a song that like no party can go without at this point, right?
I can see, yeah. You guys know.
No, I'm saying it.
Okay.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it.
My apologies.
I'll say it for you. It is a song that no party can go on without. And I think that you may agree with me when I say this. Anytime you do hear it at a party that you're at, that you're not performing, or you're just out at the club or at dinner or whatever, at a restaurant, and you hear the song, there's a little bit of like a, damn, we made that feeling, right? So that being said, talk to me about inception of Tum Tana. I want you to give a little bit of a synopsis on the actual making of it, the shooting process, because it was a long day for all of us. And then the phenomenon that it became after, because you sang it in South Africa, you sang it all over the world at this point.
It's not about me singing it. We'll talk about that a little bit. It's about the people.
It is about the people.
It's not about it's me singing it.
I think what I really do want to touch on, like I said, is the inception, the synopsis of the shooting, and then what it became after it was actually released, because you have gotten a chance to showcase it around the world.
So the song came out in 1990. It was a cover by Amit Kumar. The movie was actually never released. I think the movie did really bad in the theater, so they never released it. However, my uncle, because of the musical influence he had the DVD. Where he got the bootleg from, I have no idea. But he got the bootleg. I was able to watch the movie years later. I don't know if you can recall this. I recall this. I know we didn't have Netflix at a point in time, right?
No.
So on a Friday night, we would borrow DVDs, Blockbuster. I'm talking
Star Music back in the day.
I literally am talking about things that no longer exist. But we used to borrow DVDs, or we used to take DVDs from my mamu, and we'll watch it at home. And I stumbled upon that, and I was able to look at it because I actually loved the songs from since it came out, and it was an easy, catchy beat, stuff like that. I was able to sing it once when I was younger, but of course using the movie karaoke. I don't know where my mom got it from, and I enjoyed it. It was nice, but kind of just put in the back burner. But I always they got this thing where it says Guyanese people love tune. So it was always there. I was always listening to it. It was there. Heard remixes it over time. It was one of those songs that kind of got lost in a dance party though, to songs like Esa Lagata, Hey, Daka Dale, like those things. It was kind of one of those things that you gotta be really, really intoxicated, like 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to slap the ground, and the DJ just puts that on, and that's when you would hear it when everybody's gone home. So who's really listening to it? So I thought to myself, I was like, over time, I really like this song. So when I recorded my first song in 2012 with Rishi Lakan, it was for Diwali Motorcade with Lakshmi Singh. She gave us the opportunity, and we were able to record it. And I think the CD actually raised funds for Hurricane Sandy at the time, right? I think it was Hurricane Sandy. That was the first time I ever recorded a song. So I was just considered a recording artist. Then I was able to go to Trinidad in 2016 with the help of a young brother of mine. I call him young. He's like 3 months younger than me. His name is Master Salim. And I was able to record Kuba Jalaki. So at that point in time, I recorded my first international thing. So after I learned what it felt to be like in a studio, which was Maha Studios, and then I learned how it was on a local scene, I got a little interested in what a recording might be like. I had recorded a Chutney Soca in 2014, just learning it. In 2017, I recorded another Chutney Soca, and all of them are very playful and banter on words. And I realized over time, hey, this could be nice, could be nice. Then came the time to record a Bollywood cover, and I was like, hey, my most favorite song of them all, I'm trying. I reached out to 2 producers. I guess I wasn't as big in the game, or I wasn't as known, and I was kind of like put to the side. Then I tried again. And then in 2018, I actually recorded my first song with Raymond. It's not a song that a lot of people give a lot of love to, but I thought to myself, was like, listen, this is the party boss. He's all into the Bollywood covers. There's no way you compete with a man on a Bollywood level. So I said, let's do a chutney. And there was a song I also loved from Ramde Chaitu, which I don't think was ever professionally recorded. So we put it together. It was really great. Ask the music boss if he knows the lyrics. I doubt it, because like I said, he knows so many songs. He's recorded so many songs. I don't know if we can touch back to that song. But then years later came, and then I think we were going to touch back on another project, and then COVID came. And then in the exception of COVID and everybody being locked down, I think a lot of people had a lot of time to plan. And I believe that Delina Dan had a lot of time to kind of put something together. And in 2020, we were able to do a virtual concert. And I was nice enough to reach out to them because they were never featured in COVID at that point in time on any virtual platform or anything. And I think they were just looking to build their brand, take that time, because after being on years and years of on the road and touring and everything like that, when did you really ever have a moment to just spend it with yourself, fix some of the things you know are wrong, spend it with your family? Like, they took that moment. And in that process, I was able to reach out to Richard Ramner, right? Literally Big Bro, that's what I gotta call him. And I asked him, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, is it possible that I can reach out to that we can feature the band on this? And somehow he found out how to do it in Trinidad, because Trinidad had a lot more restrictions than New York. However, they made it happen. It was great. And that feature kind of blossomed a lot more of energy into the relationship we already had, which was like since 2013. Actually, my first stage show with the same Chanda J. Simukade was actually done at York College, which was actually Raymond's first show in New York in 1993.
Oh, wow.
Never knew that.
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. So it was at York College. It was one of his first shows as a singer. Prior to that, great, amazing musician, keyboard player. Still, maybe is a possibly great one. I mean, obviously, you hear all the hits he brings out, right? He's the one behind it. And then COVID brought our relationship to a lot stronger. We talked a lot. Definitely talked a lot with Richard. Then I started to just literally pick the brains of maybe one of the industry's greats and literally we work together. And then, of course, it's a new generation, mid-generation. We're all growing together, trying to figure out, hey, what works for the people today? When people come back out of COVID, they're hungry. They want to get outside. They want to enjoy themselves. So he creates this brand called Team Music Boss, which like I said, he always mentions it, so I can mention it too. I'm the founding member of that. We got to put everything together. We got some great talent along the way that was included into that. And then all of a sudden, it was my turn to contribute to the Team Music Boss.
So just not to cut
Yeah.
you, but so when he did the last ELR show in New York, you already knew Team Music Boss was coming?
No, I knew Team Music Boss was coming before everybody knew Team Music Boss was coming.
No, what I'm saying is when that last show happened, the rebrand happened after, right?
I'm not. That's what, 2021?
Beginning of 2022, I think.
No, that's it. Team Music Boss was created before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was created before that, but it was. But once again, execution, right?
Yeah.
We have to figure out how we're putting out things. We also have to see how the crowd is going to respond after
Yeah.
being 2 years, maybe 1.5, 2 years away from everything, right? Shout out to my brothers Tony Cuts and Vikati Singh. They bursted out on the scene as well. So Guyana was kind of getting put back on the scene from a scene that Terry Godraj and other singers have carried over the years. And from there, it opened up the doors where that entire country is now literally featured in everyone's ears, everyone's eyes. And you got to be thankful and proud for that. And definitely, why not be a part of that success? And we went to Guyana. We did that virtual show with Ray and the entire local staff. We went to Guyana and did that as well during their Guyana independence. And we got a lot of help from the government, from E-Networks, from a lot of instances like that. And then when it was my turn to go up to the Team Music Boss, I presented a song to Raymond. And Ray scratched his head and he's like, I never heard this song by. You showed this song in the book? Played around with it, enjoyed the music. He took out my favorite element from the song, which was the dolak. The grooviness, the movement thing. Said, Randy, we're gonna take out the dolak. We can make a better sound. Cried a little. Took a look at one tear because I'm like, wow, you took out my favorite part of the song.
Does Charlene knows this, by the way?
He does, but at the end of the day, it was just a song that we needed to revamp and make it our own without putting forward. However, you don't question the man who has 4 or 5 hits prior to that, right? You just say, listen, let's trust our vision. Let's make it work. We get to the point where the song comes out. We actually launch the song at Travel Span's curry duck or duck curry competition. I'm a little nervous because I'm like, damn, I don't know if the crowd knows the song. I don't know if they'll accept the song. Ray doesn't even know what to expect because he's hardly ever heard anybody sing it or anything like that. We sing the high part of Geeta hai se jeevan ka sur hai, Geeta hai prema tarana. All we heard the crowd sing back to us was Tum Tana. And mind you, we didn't even sing the Tum Tana part. And when the crowd blasted back on us, a mixture of Guyanese, Trini, Suriname, Spanish, like everybody was in that crowd because that was, I think, the second year thing. I turned around. Of course, I had a little moment to cry because at that point in time, I was like, I never really had an entire crowd sing something that I've helped produce or be a part of. Even though, once again, I wholeheartedly, as I said, we created it, but it's still not ours, right? It's still India's in a whole-fledged heartedly. Of course, we definitely got the proper mechanical rights, everything like that. A lot of people think we just go, we cover songs, we do this, we that. Everything is done properly. It is a business. It needs to be done properly. If you don't know how to do it, reach out to us. We can definitely help. There's many of us that do it. In New York here, myself, Ranjiv, Ano, Mr. Dunia, we all have that knowledge, and we're still learning every day to help anyone that possibly needs it. Reach out to us anytime. This business is enough for all of us to grow in. If you're looking for that, please reach out to us. So once we did that, we put everything on paper. We put everything where it needed to be. The next thing to do is record the video now. And of course, that's when I went to you and I told you, hey, I think I need your expertise on this. Only because I feel that the song itself is a curl song. It's a nice song. I need to tell a story.
It was Randy's vision, by the way. I
Yeah.
want to put that out there. The video itself was Randy's vision, but I think the execution part was where you needed my help.
Correct, because obviously you can ask a lot of people. You can even ask my wife. When I curl, left foot go left, right foot go right, shoulder go down, this and that. I didn't want to make it like the screw some bulb.
Forget about that part. Randy didn't even know how to dress himself, and I'm thankful for Andrea every day.
But what can I
of our
say?
Lives
Every
for
day
that.
and every time. So when it came down to it, yeah, you're right. I don't know how to dress myself because as you can see.
It's just merch, guys. Okay, we're gonna get back to branding after. Let's
So
talk about
I
this.
came to you with it. You brought the team in, and then I thought to myself, I was like, how do I make this? I think my vision of any song, but that song specifically, was to captivate every audience that I could possibly get. So if I got the older ones, the nostalgic ones that knew the song, they were already set. The Trinidadian and the Raymond fans, there. The Guyanese now being represented as the scale starts to grow from those young individuals and even legends from the past thing, got it there. The only place the only one that I needed to captivate was the next generation. And I thought to myself, how do I do this? How do I do this when half of these kids don't understand the language? Half of these kids don't watch some of these stuff. Half of these kids have way more accessibility to spend their time on. How do I capture them? I decided to make Me and Raymond into a cartoon. And I literally made this into a cartoon with the help of a team member of mine. And literally, the start of the video, it glued everyone. I did not expect that. It literally glued everyone. And if you notice, there was parts and elements of stuff that were actually relevant in the movie world. There were parts and elements that were relevant in what people were already seeing. They were already familiar with it, but we still made it our own. I still have videos of parents sending me videos where Ray was like, Randy, or parts where it's like, oh my God, I lost the music boss. Like, to hear 1 and 2 years old that may know what 3, 4 words saying that of what we put out, and then finally showing people an element of what a cartoon to a realistic, it was well thought. And I give myself kudos on it, but I did it with a great amount of team. I did it with a lot of support over the years, and that's what Tana again. But I thought that's where the story ended. Next thing I know, a year later, it's a whole anthem in South Africa, Fiji, Mauritius, Ukraine. I'm just like, okay, people have recorded Bollywood songs before. People have recorded songs before. People have touched base. COVID definitely opened up our chances to sit in front of a screen to be aware of everything. Now when I'm seeing random people who I don't even know in my life, never thought I would be exposed to and everything, they're all doing it. I'm seeing TikToks, I'm seeing Instagram reels and things. And I can't stay on top of my own social media. So how do I stay on top of these people? How do I stay on top of these people's videos? I'm just like, okay, this is a lot. Then
Randy was sending me videos from like London.
yeah, I was literally, it was all over the place. And I was just like, I think the only place I didn't get a video from maybe was Antarctica.
Yeah.
Literally. And who knows, the Penguins could have sent me that too if they had fingers. But literally, it came to the point where now the song now hits a country that the entire country is singing it. Yeah. And I was like, there was even at a point where they had a rally when the new president or the new prime minister of this country thing, and that's the song he was dancing to on stage. And at that point in time, here comes the little boy who used to sing in the Jondi house, simple with his harmonium, simple in Mandir, simple to God, but to travel to the other side of the world with the music boss. It was a lot to take in. Show number 1, little cold. It was summertime for us here. It was wintertime for them. It was okay. They were outside. We had a great time. I didn't know how to react because it was in Johannesburg. I was okay. We touched down in Durban. It was a different 18,000 people.
Wow.
That have never known you, have never seen you before, all they know you is through 4 words. Dum, tana, nana, tana, maybe 3 words. Yeah. And literally sang word for word. It was one of those experiences where you had to put your microphone down. The sound system wasn't loud enough for you to sing the way the people were singing.
So I think I just want to say, like, I think when we were working on the video, okay, let me just take it a step back, right, before I actually say this. When we were shooting the video, that morning is when we got the actual partly mastered track. There was not much instrumentals in it yet.
Correct, because as a visionary as Raymond is and the team,
they were taking some time.
They were taking some time because obviously an element can just pop out of nowhere, even before a release, and something that sounds better to them or something that just came. One of the things I think musicians can relate to as well is that, listen, at 4 o'clock, if you're sleeping and you have a dream and it comes in your dream, you're waking up in the next half an hour and you're going in front of a keyboard or you're going in front of a software and you're figuring out something because that's how it's done.
Yeah, but I think what I was getting to is that even though we had like a partly mastered track, we still had a bass line and we had some words on there, right? It was mostly your vocals on there. And when we were shooting that video, I think everyone that was involved with the project kind of just knew that this was going to take off in some way, shape, or form. I can't explain it, but the seriousness that we took it with, it was like every single person involved was invested.
Correct.
And it wasn't just like, okay, we're shooting a music video today, let's just go do whatever, it's fine. Like, we're there all day and we can, whatever. There was like a energy and like a magic there. And you know, in hindsight, looking back at it, I think we all felt it genuinely.
Yeah, I think so. Shout out to NSYNC Pro.
Yeah.
Even the venue.
Yeah.
Even the venue they gave us, 2 hours, I think it was, and stuff like that.
And we were there all day.
Yeah, we were there all day. They didn't say anything because they caught a vibe thing. Even some of the other events that were going on and pictures were going, everybody was enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
We got so much video, but the song is only so long. We can only put so much videos off it.
Yeah, and I think that for my experience, right, when you debuted it in New York, right, at Chutney World, there was a certain, like, everyone felt the pressure of, like, holy shit, we have to actually, like, this is the debut of the song. It's, it had already, like, been out there for people to hear. You were already getting videos from different countries, but this was the first time we were doing it in our hometown. And there was, like, again, a specific magic on stage where it was like, it took, I think, everyone who was involved, their careers to another level. And I don't know how to explain that feeling, but it was like, I remember from my point of view backstage, Randy had curated this whole entire sequence for when he was going on stage with his performance. But there was a moment that we all kind of just stood there backstage. We watched you say a prayer, and then you went on. So we were all holding our breath until that prayer happened. And then as soon as we heard him walk on stage, everyone was like, okay, it's here. And it was just like this weird but amazing feeling that every single one of us kind of felt. And it goes back to Naturally Reckless, right? Like, your entire team was there. Everyone was on stage. We were all together. We all experienced it. You had Ray on stage. Richard was there. Your entire Naturally Reckless team was there. I was there. The girls that were in the video were in there. It was this whole coming home kind of sequence that we had. And it just was this most amazing feeling. Now, what I want to do is,
Wait, before you disappear, right? There's one side note on top of that. It's great that you felt that feeling. This is recorded, so I can definitely love to keep this. My wife liked the song before she liked me. Can you imagine that? From my understanding, for some of her family members, after many years of meeting them and, for example, being engaged and then married, my understanding was that she was singing the song even before I entered the picture, after trying to get her for so long. So
these are signs.
When I understood that, I was like, wow, this just wasn't just a song that changed people's life. It actually changed mine as well. And I think that goes back to, like you said, it was my vision. Yeah. I think you've known this from the years many people will say it. She knows this as well. I put my heart into it. I put my heart into everything. And I don't care what the noise is on the outside. I don't care what the downfalls are. I may get a little discouraged, but that discouragement kind of puts me back into a place where I can see it from a different view. And I think one of those factors came back from my parents. I don't want to say more my mom, because she gets a little disheartened, especially when she's trying her best, and people want to tell her something and puts her down. And then I kind of find that same vibe in my wife, and I'm like, it's so crazy how, like, for example, these people come into your life knowing that, hey, they're the strongest people, but they allow sometimes the outside noise, and it's my job to rise above and hold their hand and be like, yo, we're doing this to the max. Yeah. So it's like, it's great when you find that in the person that raised you and gave birth to you, to the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And I think that's the power between Tana. So yeah. I like it for that reason. I think Tana also brought people together. I've also had people come up to me and tell me Tana was the last thing their parents sang or they heard, or when they do memorials, they do it because that's how much that's. And it's like, yeah. Do I laugh? Do I cry? Do I feel bad that maybe the song killed a person because they heard my voice? I don't know. There's a lot of emotions flowing, but all I can know is it's a staple that gets left behind. Now, do I think it's my defining moment? In this moment, yes. I think my defining moment is going to be when I actually have something I can call my own from start to finish. And that is something that we are working on. And of course, that may be done, that you may air in a future episode with someone else if you have a chance. Or, hey, we might come back over to another episode. I don't know. What can I say?
So speaking of, okay, Tana, the phenomenon, and then going into branding, I actually want to use this one point to kind of bridge into the branding point. I want a lot of people, and I feel like I can say this, and maybe you'll agree or disagree, but being in the business as long as you and I have, you've been obviously longer because of age, clearly. Clearly. But I really want people to recognize and understand there are very few phenomenons that you have in your career, but that's what you always strive for. That doesn't mean that every single song or every single project that you put out will have that same effect.
Correct.
And that doesn't mean that you should also get discouraged from it, right? Like if I have to equivalate or correlate, actually is the right word, something that I would consider a phenomenon, like how Tana was for you, was Made Dolana with my dad.
That's true.
Right? That was something that we did when I was 19 years old, and now at almost 32, it's still something that's really out there, and what we're known for. My dad and my chemistry, especially during Made Dolana, was something that none of us, or at least I can proudly say that there's no one else that in our community that can match that, right? And I don't care if I sound conceited, it's kind of reality. But same thing with Tana, right? It was a phenomenon. What can you say for those that are actually starting their career covering songs as well as branding themselves, right? That's why I want to bridge this. In terms of like that feeling of what is their song. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in the sense of this is going to be the song that's going to catapult my career, or this is the song that's going to make or break my career.
I like your question, but I'll disagree and say that I don't think that's the approach. I think the approach has always been it should be for everyone that does anything in life. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be dance. It could be your career as well. You have to be passionate about it. Yeah. A doctor doesn't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a doctor, and then the following day he becomes a doctor. It takes years, right? That's why I believe they have years of study, then they have residency, then they have to practice under attending, along those lines. Yeah. Forget a doctor, be a plumber, right? There has to be that time where he went to school. Nobody wants to fix pipes. Look at these kids that fix cars. Kids don't want to be mechanics, but it looks cool when I get to add a piece to my engine, a lights to this, rims on my wheels. And eventually, when you actually become passionate about it, some of them become mechanics. Some of them don't need to go to 4-year school. Sometimes they go to trade school, and they're still making an impact on this world. Some people, in regards to karma and destiny, sometimes they don't get the chance to be on the top of the pyramid. Sometimes they're the ones that have to clean the bathrooms and take out the garbage, and everyone has a role in this world. But if you're not passionate about, or you don't have a calling in what you need to do, then that's what it goes. You speak about branding, like literally, if you look all around me right now, like literally, I'm Superman literally when I wear this. And it took me a while to get to this level because some of my local logos are I think, I forgot about the screen above me too. Yeah, well, literally, that you don't understand that. Like when Superman wears that S on his chest, he literally is invincible, whether he thinks it's not. How many times does he get knocked down? How many times does he get back up? How many times does he actually have something that brings him down, which is kryptonite? Yeah. Doesn't matter what's happening, he always still gets up and he's the hero of the day. It's the same thing that happens as a musician or as a doctor. There's going to be a day where they might have problems at home, or they have to read a chart that they don't understand, or it's a brand new discovery for them. They got to find through it because they're supposed to be the hero of that day. When I get the chance to be the hero, I put on my cape, I put on my outfit, whatever you want to call it, and I'm definitely there. But it's not just for me to experience. Yeah. If I wear the jacket's for people to know. I walk into a room, I look like a typical regular guy, right? Mm-hmm. But guess what? With a whole brand on you, I'm a certain person. I could wear Louis Vuitton, I could wear Tommy Hilfiger, I could wear Gucci. But the problem is that why can't I wear Randy Recklez? I'm a brand just like they're a brand. So that's me putting myself out there, but I'm passionate about it. If I'm not, the ones that would like to wear the name brand and stuff like that, they don't. There's no reason for them to have a brand, but they enjoy those brands. That's not a problem as well. Those guys are investing there through branding, advertising, whatever it may be. It can be on anything, right? I have it on my hat, my jacket, my towel, my cup. Take a sip. But one of the most things that I love the most is actually my chain. So I love my chain for a couple reasons. Like this was influenced by a rapper from back in the days. He's no longer around, but he was actually a local rapper that was in the Queen scene. He was actually in 50 Cent's crew back in the days before G Unit. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. The second person that kind of brought it back to light per se, and I'll give him his credit, is Ki. Ki was always used to say you can't spell king without Ki, and he used to have a neck. However, his chain was a little high, and I used to tell him, I was like, you want to break it down a little? However, when I got a chance to actually finalize, make my logo, the reason why the R stands out on the chain more than then, it's very similar to McDonald's. McDonald's, you don't see that all. You can't put the whole word McDonald's all over the place, but that M is so amazing. The Nike check is so amazing. What other brands are there? I'm not sure. The LV for Louis Vuitton. The whole word is not there, but when they see that one symbol, they know that it represents something grand, something amazing. And those people put their all into it, right? Whether they've grown from just working here to where they are today. The reason why the chain means a little more to me is that as you become passionate, you have to find a way to continue your legacy of where you're going to go or how do you leave it behind. McDonald's has literally been selling cheeseburgers for decades, right? But every cheeseburger sometimes gets pickles in it. They get this, they get that. Music is music. We're all doing it. We're all doing it collectively, but we're all competing at the same time to gather the love and the energy of people. To me, the chain is a symbol where I can find a child and allow them to be Randy Recklez in the moment, or for them to understand it. See a little kid, you take a picture with them, everybody's coming up and taking pictures. Great. That's great. You don this on them, at the moment they feel like the superstar. That's the whole point of this. We do it because the people enjoy it. One of the things I've actually learned after being married is literally the fact that sometimes creating moments for everyone on the outside sometimes robs the moment from the people that are right there for you, that are going to be there until the end. The people will come, the people will go, the people will go on to their own lives. They will do their own things. Some may phase out of the music. Sometimes when you don't get to do it anymore, you're kind of forgotten as well. But you have that one person that kind of just there. So that balance of life is something that I'm definitely learning each and every day. I think after 1 year, I think I'm doing a great job. But you know, I'd have to ask the significant other, the wife.
How important do you feel, or I feel like after that answer just now, I already know the answer to this question, but how important do you feel is branding versus artistry, or do they go hand in hand?
They go hand in hand.
Always?
I believe always, yes. I believe always. Take away from music, let's go to art. If you don't have the right brushstrokes on certain colors and certain levels, that picture won't pop. Sometimes you look at the Mona Lisa, right? And it just looks like a lady. But why is it one of the most revered paintings of all time? Yeah. But going back to Brown, you can actually. I always talk about plumbing because I feel like AI is taking over all these jobs, but it can never take over plumbing, right? You can't actually AI to fix your pipe. So
Plumbing doctorate.
so no, AI will take over doctors. It's okay. We'll figure that out.
You think?
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But let them do it after I retire. So I'm good. I'll stay in my. I can stay in my lane. But a plumber can actually know, like, for example, a plumber can hit somewhere and guess what? The water could start gushing. That's his knowledge, right? That's artistry. That artistry goes hand in hand with the branding because after people have seen that you're doing good work, they will continue to think, but only if your work is just as good. We also have a plumber that may just take some Teflon tape and just wrap it around the middle and be like, call it a day. It's the easy way of getting out, but he can brand himself. But is his work as popular? I don't know. So they have to go hand in hand. You have to put your all in it for it to grow. Why do you think that a T-shirt from a no-name company who won't sell, but Louis Vuitton can make the same exact shirt and charge 200 times or 200% more? Yeah. Because it's how people invested it. It comes from the branding, and it comes from your putting your all into it, and that's where it comes. So I believe that it goes hand in hand.
Okay. What I wanted to ask you is, because we went into branding, we went into Tana as the phenomenon. I just want to take some time and get to know you a little bit more, yourself as an individual.
I like curry chicken or chicken curry.
Don't start this fight.
I don't
'cause we're
care
Guyanese.
what you call it, even though I'm Guyanese. As long as it's on my plate, I'm fine. I like my wife's pesto pasta. Does she make that good? Yeah. Continue with your questions.
Does she use a homemade sauce or is it from the jar?
Why I'm gonna tell you? Then more people eat that food. No, that's my food. I'm
No,
not
because
telling
then I can ask Andrea to make
No,
it for me.
you definitely will not. You definitely will not be asking.
Well,
her to
she's
make
sitting
it
in the
that.
studio and she can hear me. So Andrea, can I?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, I
Go
kept
ahead.
saying her name. The wife, can I please get some pesto
Sorry.
pasta one day? Thank you so much. Okay, so before we actually go into this little rapid fire or questionnaire that I have of yours, for you actually, sorry, is one of the reasons why, aside from like who you are in the community and all that you've done and your career, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you onto the podcast is because you are someone who really does do it all and still manages to somehow keep a balance, even though sometimes you may falter on each end, right?
Yes.
Because you're a human being. Of course, that's going to happen. But you seem to do so much and still be able to show up for everyone else, right? And I think for those of you who were invited to Randy's wedding or at least seen it on social media.
Or the 17,000 of you that claimed that you wanted to be there but wasn't.
I 1,000%
Randy
agree with
Recklez,
that.
come back again.
I 1,000% agree with that. What I was going to say is every single person that worked on Randy's wedding were people that were really, like, you've showed up for them in a lot of ways, right? And that was our giving back moment. And to a certain degree, we can't repay him for everything else, but that was just our little piece of.
I want to say yes and no.
No, but
because-
before you, not to cut you off, before you actually say something, I want to actually clarify that. What I wanted to say is that everyone that was a part of that team that came together for that wedding were people that you've always been there for. I think that's a better statement.
I don't think that was the objective. Of
It wasn't the objective,
I
but
think
I'm
it
saying that
was
we were
more
there for
of
you.
that's my team.
Yeah.
I trusted them to bring my visions to light. Obviously, there are people there that weren't on the team, but that I still trusted in their vision. But I trusted in them to bring my vision to them, whether they could or they told me it was too much pressure or something. I would not be upset or anything.
wouldn't.
But I'm thankful for everyone that came out and did their part. But I think on a professional and a personal level, I still am the same person. I don't help you out because you're a professional, or I don't help you out because you're personal. I think that you're just a human being, and I'm a human being too. I was born as Randy Ramden. I will die as Randy Ramden.
Can you just take the damn compliment?
Yeah,
Please?
but I
Just
feel
take the compliment.
okay. That's great.
Stop it.
Fine. Rapid fire.
Okay, anyways. Okay. I was trying to compliment you that you're always there for everybody and that you balance it all still. Especially, I'm not married, but those of you who are married understand that the first year at least, or the first 2 years of marriage are the hardest. And you're still making it work.
Not when you're with the right person. Rapid fire.
Just take the damn compliment. Okay. Can I answer these for you? If you could only eat
obviously, if you have the questions, you might know the answers. I can't promise that it won't be difficult, but if the question is,
if you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, which one it would be? Which one would it be? I can't even speak properly. Which one would it be? And you can give me international and national.
okay. So if
I
it's
know both.
if it's international, I think it recently came here. I love Nando's. I love Nando's. If Nando's wasn't in the U.S.,
Taco
maybe
Bell?
Taco Bell. Yes. Wow.
Okay, so the reason why I know
eat
it's
too much of
Nando's,
this.
the reason why I know it's Nando's is because Randy, myself, a few
At the
people,
time, yeah, entire team.
and the wife all traveled to London, and that was the only thing that Randy could talk about was Nando's.
Shout out to Chutney in London.
Yes, love them. And when I found out, at least, that Nando's was coming to New York, I sent it in our group chat, so that's how I know. And right before we shot this episode, I asked the wife, what can I get Randy as like a cute little thank you? And she told me Taco Bell, so. What is the best travel destination you've ever visited, and what made it so special?
So my number one answer will always be Guyana. It's not a lot to do there, but just it's a vibe on its own, and it's just absorbing, just being able to see the culture that built my parents, my grandparents. But in the last couple of years, that has kind of held a number one spot alongside South Africa. The love that place kind of showed just a random little boy like myself. I'll still say it. I remember, I remember we traveled from Johannesburg to Durban, and I don't think Raymond was able to go to sound check because obviously he needs to rest a little. I'm driving through a crowd of almost 2,000 people already online, and showtime is about 5 hours later. We're in a tinted window car, and all I can see is people knocking the window. Randy, how do you see unless Durban food got some kind of like cataracts or X-ray vision that they can see? They're literally hitting the wind, and it's like I don't know if
Do you have
I don't know if you
videos?
want to call it, huh?
Do you have videos?
I think Din would have videos. I would have to figure out where this is. Also, when we got to the airport, um, literally there was a whole procession there to greet us. I literally got RT, put a mala on, like I'm doing all the Munder stuff inside a national airport, controlled by the FAA and controlled like there's a whole dia being lit in the middle of baggage claim, like, and I got fed I got fed sweets, and I don't know if they thought I was because American. I got Ferrero Rocher instead of a laddu.
Okay. What is your earliest childhood memory when you cried on stage?
Actually, when I cried in Johnny House, yeah, I do remember that. That's my earliest.
What are you most grateful for right now? The wife.
Yes, the wife.
Um,
Did you like talk to yourself when you wrote these questions?
this is how well
You
I know
sound.
Randy,
You look like one of
guys.
those textbooks that had the answers in the back, and you just flipped it up.
Like it's a textbook exam. Do you know what I'm talking about? Those open exams. What is your favorite song lyric from that movie Tum Dil Ki? No, is it Darkan from Darkan?
Darkan, yes.
And it's Tum Dil Ki, right?
No, it's not.
Nana Karte.
Oh my god. So my favorite lyric it actually is from the song Dil Ne Ye Kaha Hai Dil Se.
There we go.
It's the actual verse. It goes, Tum jo keh do to chand taro ko mor launga main. In hawao ko, in gatao ko, mor launga main. It says that I can bring the sun, the stars, and the moon and lay them all at your feet. I can capture the wind. I can bring all the rose petals. I can bring everything that you ever want and lay them on your feet. That's how much I love you. And I actually sang that to my wife on a wedding as well.
Your favorite genre of movies? I know this too, but I'll let him answer.
I'm learning to watch these romantic and these serials and realities and stuff, which I'm not a big fan of. However, I've always been about action and comedy. It's either I'm watching people fight or I'm watching people laugh. Don't ask me to do anything else.
What is one thing that you say was important to your rise to fame?
A discipline. I think one of the things that I respected a lot was discipline when it came to listening to my parents and trying my best to listen to them. We're all kids. We all behave bad as we grow. We trying to turn out. But one of the things that I was raised and younger is like always greet with respect. So like if I greet my mom, dad, even my aunts, anything like that. Sometimes I did it on the outside. Sometimes people look at me a little weird. Was always greet everyone like Ram Ram or Pranam, like something like that. I know it's a very Indian society thing, but that's how we were raised, and I left it like that. Another thing that I encourage many of you to do, which I can say I attained a lot of my successes for, is that I've always bowed at my parents' feet. Whether I wake up in the morning and they're still lying in bed, or whenever I have a moment of how do I say this? A moment of either just regular life or even thing. Whenever I get to see them, always bow, take your blessings. It was one of the oldest rules. Discipline is also knowing what you can do to be a better representative of them. What they say, don't make the head fall. So I think we were having a conversation about this the other day. I was like, we look at some of the individuals, how they dress and how they carry themselves and everything like that. So nowadays, sometimes we see we look at people, and some of the older people look at people as well, and they'd be like, how do gal get drunk? How this? Like, because now. But at the same time, that's their way of life, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I believe I have a song that has like that was like, "Tell them stop calling me name." And I have a
Yeah.
whole song about that because I was in a party once, and an older auntie and a young girl was wearing the same exact dress, and you already know that went down because you females have no chill when
No.
it comes down to that. So they kept looking. So I created a whole song of that because the you would want the younger ones to respect the elders, but the elders also have to give their respect to the younger ones as well. So if that's not met, then a lot of the times when the older people say the younger ones are like rude and nasty and stuff like that, you're the one that started it, right? You're the one that's supposed to be the quote unquote bigger person and kind of turn your head and walk away. But if you're looking at her and be like, what she thinks she hot, she this, she that.
Yeah.
You're the one egging it on. So when these kids are disrespectful or these kids are breaking a barrier of like torment or something they call it or something, you deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve it. But at the same time, younger ones also have to think. But it's a thing: give respect to get respect. I'm a little more of like, listen, if I don't give that certain level of respect, I think. But as life grows on, I learned that I have different entities to protect. So.
What is your biggest fear? And I know the answer to this: losing your mom, your dad,
Ah.
and your wife.
I guess I listen. I talk to you so much. After today, I'm not talking to you again, unless we do an episode 2, and then I'm writing the questions.
I mean, I think so because we should, naturally reckless needs to come on here.
That's true. Yeah,
I think that
I'd love
that's
to bring
a
the
good
guys
one.
on.
If you could be a
Wait, I
superhero
ain't
for a day.
finished.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
I answered
you
the
know
question.
me.
I answered the question.
I'm really not scared of that much in life. I respect a lot. I don't. I don't really have a fear of a lot. I feel like God is the highest power. So if God was to say or show me a way that it's wrong or right, I would listen to that. I would understand that. However, God also blessed you with people around you to make and help you make better decisions. And He doesn't bring all of them at once. He brings some of them stay, some of them go. But one of the biggest fears I have is losing my parents, which I know eventually over time, one day they do have to leave. But then when you add a special person to that now, which is my wife, and obviously, one of us are going to have to go and leave this world one day. But I don't know who's going to feel the pain. And honestly, I don't want to think about that for a very long time.
This is going to sound a little bit morbid, but it's also a very cute thing in my opinion. My grandfather couldn't live a day without my grandma, so he willed himself to go before she did. And he did. So he never had to live a day without her, which sounds morbid, but it was actually really cute. It's
cute.
the love that he had for her.
When you find your person, you find your person. When you have that, how do I say that? When you find that warmth, you know it. Yeah. Some people find it, some people lose it, some people find it, and then over time they end up finding better along the way. Some people kind of just stay in their zone and just work on themselves and just be. It's your life to live. I always say, the day you were born to the day that you die is a point A and a point B. Everything you do in between is middle. And as you see, the logo says, as long as you're being real, stay humble, and live reckless in this lifetime, you don't have to answer to nobody.
If you could be a superhero for a day, which one would it be?
Flash. I was actually in high school. I used to run track. I used to be really good at it. I don't know what happened. Now I can't even walk up the stairs when I go to work. But I flashed because I used to run track, but I also realized that speed is a lot better than strength. Only because as much as you can speed things up, you can also slow it down. I believe strength is just an in-the-moment kind of thing, while speed can actually, if you're moving too fast, you can see a lot of things faster. But if you're also moving slow, you see it from a different point of view. But Flash. I've always loved Flash.
Okay. 3 people you think is doing amazing things for our culture.
Oh. Yeah, it's not just 3 people. So I'm going to give slot number 1 or person number 1 to every single person in any genre of performing arts that is contributing to any part of culture, but all of ours are culture. So I'm talking about people from Trinidad, Guyana, and the States, Canada, wherever it may be. And I'm not just talking about chutney. I'm not talking about soca. I'm not talking about reggae. I'm talking about anything in life. If you enjoy any form of entertainment, that's what it goes to. I'll give them the first slot. Shout out to Yo Drew. I can't give you a spot, but shout out to Yo Drew. Shout out to my entire team of Naturally Reckless. The second person. The second person I believe that you're saying contributing to culture, unfortunately, every single dead person, they sit here and they still contribute to music. Now, if I want to narrow it down and give you one person that I think is really doing amazing things for our culture, I think everybody watching on this on this camera right now is gonna be like, I can't believe you just said his name.
Go ahead.
His name is Rum Shop Chronicles. Now, if you know his other name, that's great. But most of you know him as Rum Shop Chronicles, or we just call him Rum Shop. He does a lot of great things for our culture. However, what I can say about him, he came onto the scene, and you can say that he's a very outgoing and extraordinary personality. However, he's done a lot for this culture that most people don't know. For example, I remember another great individual that great things for the Queen's nightlife was Derek Singh. I think he created it. I think he created it alongside a young man by the name of Nivash. And they were doing great things for a period of time. But he had a whole generation that was wrapped into understanding and enjoying our culture, whether it came all the way down to Indo-Caribbean music, to understanding the vibes of the island, to taking all the way back to like dance hall, reggae, soca, chutney, Indian, finding a way to blend it all in where every single person of any color, of any strength, of any walk was enjoying themselves. We even had Spanish people vibing to our Indian music. And here is a young man that came in and says, well, what are you doing for the Indo-Caribbean people? Or what are you doing for the people that like to curl up? I'm not hearing that kind. And he came in and he I want to say, I can't say he capitalized, but he did a great job of putting it all together. What do Indo-Caribbean people like to do? What do people from Guyana and Trinidad? Not everybody, but the majority of them like to go out party. They like to drink a little rum. And he was able to put together a nice concept of Die by the Rum. And that concept came out great, but that concept kind of has nothing to do with the title. It literally comes where you can play those songs that we grew up in, that our parents grew up on, that our grandparents grew up on, that they got to play in their car speaker, that they got to play in their car horn, that they got to play at parties where you would see everybody come and start dancing and getting on. They were now being played in a scene where the other genres were being played. And it's like, now you have an Afro-American, or you have a Latino or a Latina curling and dancing, doing the things that we would do in parties. And he brought that. And then what did he do? When he did it in one place, he did it in his home country, they started saying, hey, let's do it here, 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 and here.
There's like Die by the Rum 3,567.
Literally. But how does that become a reality?
Yeah.
If the actual people are not investing in that, if they're not enjoying it, if someone is coming and saying, hey, we can't wait for your next event. Hey, where can we get tickets? Hey, this is what I want. And he didn't stop there. He didn't just make it Die by the Rum. He started making a whole bunch of other events. He started making a whole bunch of things. And these are the things that we don't look at, right? Because we're so focused on music. But allowing him, and I know, quote unquote, he may watch this, he may not watch this. You don't need no artist for your show. I get it. I know. I totally understand. But however, what you do is that allow a platform for our music to be played for those individuals to hear it. And by doing that, you may not need the artists, as you per se, but the artists do thank you for that platform. I'll speak for them all. Because if our music is getting played inside your events and inside the events that you're influencing, we got to thank you for that. So that's actually a person that I think did a lot for our culture. I know, trust me. People might watch this and be like, I can't believe you said his name. Why he out there, everybody? But when you actually listen and you look at him, and I've actually had my ups and downs. I've had my riffs with him. I've had my growing moments with him. I've had my moments where he said, you know, I talk to you, you talk sense. But at the end of the day, you have to give, what they call it, give Jackie jacket. And that's what it is.
Yeah, I think what you just said, just to sum it up, not everyone is going to be for everyone. Their personalities,
100%.
You're not going to gel with everybody, right? But I think the bigger concept is what you have to look at the end of the day. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to like the personality, anything of that sort. But I think what we can appreciate is what he's done.
Can I add one more person instead of the three? Can I add one person?
Go ahead. It's your question.
The last question, the last slot actually goes to every individual that is actually trying to do it the right way. I'm talking about every young talent that is actually being classically trained, that is actually going out there and getting the proper training. It doesn't have to be just on the Indian market. It can be an American market. It can be on the Afro market. It can be whatever it is. And then I really have to highlight that there is so many youngsters who are actually still involved in their culture and their religion.
Yeah.
And when you see that and you think that you only get to see these kids who are partying and drinking rum and hanging out and stuff. But those kids that are actually investing in our culture and our religion and stuff, we don't get to see that they're not doing. Those are the kids that actually the kids that need praise. Because I can guarantee you, I give enough of my time to my culture and to my religion, but these kids are sacrificing the things that we could be doing in this lifetime, the things that they could, all the I want to quote unquote say vices or the things that that most people may consider sins.
Yeah.
They're the one that's saying, "Hey, I'm gonna walk this part of life. I'm going back to what I said before. It's their calling in life.
Yeah.
Just like the partiers, that's their calling in life. They're enjoying themselves. They may have their day jobs, they may have their entrepreneurships, but at the same time, here it is. Then there's us as performing arts. Here's our part. Then there's the ones that could be in this here, and that could be in here, and that could be in here. That are also the doctors, the nurses, the lawyers. That you can never actually pinpoint just because of what everyone looks like. Everyone is doing their part. As long as everyone is enjoying and living their best life, that's all that matters to me.
And Randy just summed up what the entire Inception vision of Mic Check with Nikita is
And
going forward.
getting real reckless.
Last question before we end this
Oh.
episode.
Oh my God, I hope that's not a question you know the answer to.
It is.
Oh my God.
Okay, but what we've started on this podcast is like a little mic check with Nikita clarity question, right? Because our tagline is culture, conversation, clarity we all need. So I just wanted to end with the mic check with Nikita clarity question. And it is that out of all the sacrifices, the journey that you've had building your career, what is one thing that you wish your younger self knew when you were starting out? That you know now, obviously.
It's like it's a two-way question. What do you tell your younger self? Because if you tell your younger self to do something different, would you be where you're standing today? No. You could be better or you could be worse, but everything that you've achieved on professional, spiritual, financial, emotional, personal, it shapes you in a person of who you are today. If I was to change something, there's a lot you could change. However, what would I tell myself?
Randy thinks he's the Flash, that if he goes back in time, he's going to create a parallel universe.
So if I go back in time, I think the only thing that I would actually change is to be more of a star boy than I already am. And when I say that, it's
Confidence.
confidence. I
Or
can't say no.
branding.
Confidence is great. I think the way that I'm approached, the way that I become approachable, maybe my fashion sense. But once again, if I change my fashion sense, do I have my Superman? So my question is, my thing is, what I tell myself, the only thing I would tell my younger self is that use your money more wisely. I can't say that I have done that over time. Use your money a little more wisely. Value the people around you a little more. There are times where I think a lot of people don't get the credit for how much they've contributed to my success, and I haven't been able to thank them enough or give them, and some of them are not even here anymore, and you may never get to tell them, so you say it in your prayers. So that's the most thing. And thirdly, I think I have to learn this now because I'm in a different part of my life or a second part of my life. I think I should have traveled a little more and done a lot more with my parents and my family to the extent where I would have been able to appreciate it. I say this with the most empathy in my heart, per se, more than grievance. If your parents are alive, spend every single moment with them. Try to do as much as you can. Try to serve them in every aspect that you can. Not on the day when they're in a coffin or they're no longer here, you're going to cry and be like, I wish they were here. I wish I could have done more. I think you have the opportunity to do it because there are also individuals whose parents are no longer here that they did a lot for, and they're still suffering or thing. And then there's also parents who haven't seen their children because they have things like they came over here for a better life. They're going to bring their kids over. Sometimes the kids get sick. We have great health care. We have great kinds of means here. And in other countries, they really don't have that, but they're making the best with life. But the whole wrap of what I'm trying to say is that if you have your loved ones around you, just spend time with that. And of course, just picking and choosing your battles, right? Not everyone you can be a part of, not everyone you can be a part of. The ones that you choose to be a part of, you could be missing out on something else for yourself. And I said, it goes back to if you got a good partner, that's where you learn all these things. And that's where I kind of learned all these things. 1 year down.
Well, that actually concludes our episode, Randy.
Booyah! Thank you for joining with Get Real Reckless.
All right, stop trying to steal the show. And I just want to correct myself, right? I said Barry, because I was about to say Flash.
Barry Allen.
Randy thinks he's the Flash when in the first part of that question, and I said parallel universe, but the correct term is alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Because I watched.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. I wish it went like a flash, but it didn't. But I hope you got some great information. I hope you got to get real with Reckless, along with a mic check with Nikita.
Well, I think that concluded our episode. Thank you for being on.
Booyah!
I appreciate this. And maybe you guys will see part 2. Maybe.
This is part 2.
If there is one. I think we do need one, considering Naturally Reckless isn't on here. I think we need the boys.
There's a lot more to speak about, too.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, guys, this was Mic Check with Nikita with Randy Recklez.
Like that time we got to play with Barack Obama, right? You guys are going to hear about that, right? I guess we have to come back for a second episode.
Yeah, we do. He keeps dropping bombs at the end of this episode. Randy.
How about that time that on episode 2?
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Booyah!